Hi, I'm Dan Bawden, back with another video about remodeling projects at your home. One of the most popular projects we do is replacement windows. And you know, when you see it done, a little glimpses of it on the HGTV or something, it looks like it's a super easy thing to do, but it's not. And you can run into all kinds of technical issues when you're putting in windows. Today, we're going to take a look at how replacement windows are installed once the old, in this case, aluminum windows have been removed. So it's a very interesting set of things that the crew ran into on this one. I hope you enjoy the video. So this is a pretty large picture window that's been demoed already. You can see this is what it looks like when the window's been taken out. The entire frame is gone, as you can see here. We've made custom-made windows that will fit this opening. Say hi! And we are going around the house checking out how this works and why it's such a good idea for your project. I have a group of expert installers that put our windows in for us. One of the interesting things they do is they take all the glass sashes, the parts that slide up and down in these double hung windows, out of the frames. So if you look carefully, you can see where the hardware is in the frames, where they're going to be taking the windows in and out. And this allows them to lift the windows into place much more easily. The frames are much lighter without the glass in, and it's also much easier to fasten, as we'll find out in a few minutes when we talk to Will. Once the frames have been installed, we can put in the glass portion of the window. This is a frame that still has the window portions in it, and these all have screens, the ones that operate. If we move down here a little bit, you can see that we have some windows that have been installed already but not completed. They haven't been caulked yet, but they're looking much better than the old windows. All the way across the back of the house here. One of the things that people love most about replacement windows is that they not only give you really good energy efficiency, but they also make your home much quieter to outside noise. So you don't hear traffic noise, you don't hear trains going by if you have those in the distance. And it's just a really, really great and satisfying project to do to your home. Kind of setting a window in. That all has to be leveled up, installed in square opening. And you know, this isn't an easy thing to do because the brick openings and the ones in siding as well are not always square. So even just measuring the windows is an art to get the custom windows made to fit these holes. So you notice we're not making any changes in the sheetrock inside. We try to install these without any impact on the inside of the rooms, other than caulking them in after everything has been fastened in. So this is Will, he's our boss man here. So what's he doing here? He's actually pushing in with a putty knife something called backer rod. Backer rod is is a kind of a backing to what you will caulk when the gap's too wide to just caulk it all by itself. So this will give a backing and support to the caulking bead that he'll put underneath here. The caulking matches. And it provides insulation too, yeah. So I was just in the back looking at how and why you take out the glass out of the windows. Can you explain that a little bit, why you guys do that? Why does that make it easier?
Well, you got to take the glass out of the window for aluminum frames or any kind of framing, because what it is, when the windows are installed from the start, they have a nailing fin. Nailing fin goes in behind the siding or it goes in behind the brick.
That's like a little flange that sticks out of the side of the window?
Flange that goes in behind the brick when they nail it to the frame. They nail the windows in there, then they come back in and set the bricks to the wall. So therefore there's a nailing fin that's 1.5 inches behind this brick. So usually what we do, we cut all the glazing bead, whatever, pull the glass out from the exterior. Once we do that, we're able to cut the frame. Usually we cut them in the center. Say like this is a triple unit, so we cut the frame here, and that center post over there. And what to do, we'll pull the top frame out, then the bottom frame out. Then that allows us to put a pry bar in here, like so, and pull the nailing fin loose.
Gotcha.
And when we go back to install them, we screw the top, we screw the center, we screw here with like a 3.5 inch screw. We like to pull all the glass out of the windows, the new stuff, if it has a tilt pack style.
Where they can tilt out for cleaning?
Yes, sir. Tilt out for cleaning and also tilt out for screwing, because it's best to do screw here, there, And we also screw in the corners, but to the closest we can to the inside. There is a foam that sits inside this frame, so we screw to the inside here. That way it's secured here. We put a screw here. So basically this window has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, because this is a triple, so it's got lots of windows. Now, what do you call this thing in the middle where you connect the windows together? That's called a mull, M-U-L-L. So this particular brand of windows, Don Young, have a mull system that allows for some flexibility. So if the windows need to come a little bit closer to fit right in the opening or a little bit wider, that can move behind this mull. It stays weatherproof, but it allows a much easier installation. It's not so rigid, and it helps guarantee that the windows won't bind in the future as the house moves around a little with normal structural movement. You know, installing windows has its challenges. Even different windows on different walls of the house can have differences in the way they were originally installed, and it makes it a real challenge for the installers. They have to be ready for anything. Let me give you an example. This is a window that has the new window actually installed already and caulked in down here. But if you look carefully, you'll see that this original window had sheetrock, what we call a sheetrock return, because the wall comes this way and then it returns to the window. And then there's something called a door stop or a window stop here. It's a piece of molding that helps fill this gap. So this window fit in really easily, nice and tight. Let me show you what happened in the kitchen. So the windows in the kitchen, we got a different situation altogether. You can probably see it best over here in the kitchen sink window. This window was just rough set here in the opening, but look at the size of the gap that you see. It's kind of right up here around the perimeter of the window. That's way too big to caulk, and that molding, that stop molding, is missing on this window. So the crew's going to have to buy some moldings, maybe one or two, a combination of two that will fill that, so when it's painted it'll look finished and beautiful. But these are the only two windows that they have to do those extra steps on. So you never know what you're going to find when you're putting in the windows. These guys just push the two separate windows into the plastic mull piece in the middle. And they're setting it in the opening. Looks like it fits pretty flush and tight there. Except we have that same issue around the perimeter with the big gap, of course. So when you screw these in, you screw in several locations through the frame, into the framing and sheetrock around the window to secure it. But you have to be careful when you do that, because if you distort the frame by putting the screws in too tight or in the wrong places, then the window glass, when you put the sashes in, will bind and the windows won't open and close smoothly. Then you have to go back and loosen screws and redo things. And the professionals don't have to do that, but it's something that you learn to do when you are installing windows. I'm taking out some of the trim so they can get ready to just screw the unit in. One of the things you got to do when you're setting the window before you put the screws in, or just before you put the screws in, is to put a level on it. Make sure that you are plumb, which means straight up and down, and level as well. So the guy with the level will hold it there, and then the first screw will go again to kind of tack it in. He's angling the screws so they go back in and catch the framing in there. Since you have a gap around the perimeter, you have to be careful not to over tighten, so it'll pull it up too far into the gap. You have to be sure the frame stays straight and get just the right amount of screw tension. And let's go out and see what Will's doing. Hey man,
How are you, sir?
doing some caulking?
Yes, sir.
Most people don't realize caulking is an art form. Doing it right is not an easy thing to do to get a smooth, even bead. And I see some WD-40 here, man. What's that? What's that about?
So what I usually do after I run a bead of caulk is you got the waviness. So I give a little squirt of WD-40.
Oh, and it doesn't stick to your finger and makes it nice and smooth?
Makes the caulk nice and smooth.
So it's workable without smearing all over the place. That's a brilliant tip right there, Will.
Yes, sir. Then take a little rag and just wipe the edge of the frame, slicked up.
And it doesn't leave a permanent oil thing on the bricks?
No, sir. Look, I did all that. See how shiny and clean it looks?
Oh yeah, so it dries out like, like it was water.
Yes, sir.
I've never seen that trick before. That's an awesome way to do it.
Plus your finger stays clean.
And your finger stays clean. There you go. When you first start the caulking out of the tube, sometimes it's a little unpredictable. But Will looks like he has it well in hand here. You have to squirt enough in there to fill the gap behind as well as look good on the surface. And having just the right speed and pressure takes practice to be able to do that.
Go.
Nice and neat. I like it. So it follows the contour of the brick even if it's a little uneven. So how important is having a good seal around these windows?
I mean, you spend the money to get good windows, you want a good seal. Plus the durability of the caulk. You know, try not to buy cheap caulk because, you know.
It has to last for a really long time.
Yes, sir.
Well, this caulking is the only guardian between the outside weather and water getting into this crack over time. So the caulking is actually very critical. When windows are originally put in, they have that nailing fin that goes back behind the brick built onto the edges of them, but replacement windows don't have that. So in the future, you're relying on that caulking bead completely to keep water from getting inside the wall. So you're using a Sika product?
Yeah, it's a quad.
The quad, yeah. You like that particular caulking?
Yes, sir.
So this also matches the window color perfectly. So the manufacturers get together on this stuff and they kind of standardize colors so that the caulking disappears. You certainly wouldn't want white caulking on a putty colored window. It looks like Will's starting on the bottom of the sill. This is a little tricky because you have to go over the backer rod, which is that gray styrofoam, squishy styrofoam material. It's like a little snake. And you notice with the putty knife, he compressed it under there, so it's mechanically stable. It's not going to fall out. But then when you add the caulking layer on top of it, it really makes a good permanent seal. And the backer rod's not made out of anything that's going to deteriorate over time, or at least not for a really, really long time. That's really neat the way it doesn't stick to your fingers at all, so you don't get it all over you.
Yeah, it's quad.
And the finished product is just so much neater.
Yes, sir.
And the wet rag, clean rag takes off the final residue there.
There you go.
When it dries, it looks slick. Yeah, nice job, Will. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
So here's where we started our adventure today. This is the window opening that was just a big hole in the wall when we first walked up, and now it's got the window basically set in there. This is that mole piece that's in the middle. See how nicely that connects to two separate windows. And you can mold together basically as many windows, you know, as you want to or need to. These windows are going to look really nice when they're all completed, and the homeowner will be happy with their brand new windows by the end of today. And that's it. See ya.